Hey there folks, this is Don Seipel of the Scotch Redemption, the greatest ska band in the world, and I'm coming to you today from my home in Columbus, Ohio. And when I say that we're the greatest ska band in the world, I know that many of you know exactly what I mean, but almost every day I have a conversation with someone who hasn't yet heard us. It usually goes something like this: Hey Don, what kind of music does your band play? Well, we're the greatest ska band in the world. Ska? What's that? I've never heard of it. Now, my first instinct when I hear that is to punch that person right in the mouth. But this really isn't about violence, it's about education. So today I want to tell you about the history of ska. Ska, like all forms of popular music, originated with polka, which is an ancient folk dance music from Central Europe. Now, a particular offshoot or subgenre of polka became very popular in what is today Austria a few hundred years ago. It was characterized by lively tempos, syncopated rhythms, and unspeakably vulgar lyrics. Needless to say, it was never heard in ecclesiastical or court settings. Usually in bars and dance halls is where such subjects were permissible. This music was not formally recorded at the time for the same reasons, but historians have traced its roots and believe it was known colloquially as Schatzelwogenfleichenmusik. One famous proponent of this music was Franz Joseph Haydn, the father of the symphony. Fans of classical music are likely aware that although most of Haydn's career was spent in Austria, he gave a series of celebrated concerts in England near the end of the 18th century. What you likely don't know is he also dearly loved this filthy folk music, and he brought it with him to London. The English, who have a long and storied history of not really caring how words are pronounced in other languages, immediately began referring to it as Scottish or Scot music as a way of shortening the rather difficult word. This actually is believed by some to be the source of the modern misapprehension that all Glaswegians are violent, alcoholic, and sex-crazed. Of course, as immigrants reached the Americas from the United Kingdom, they brought their music with them. Since the accordions, clarinets, and zithers common to Scot music were not readily available, they adapted it for the instruments that were: trumpets, trombones, and banjos, which were eventually replaced with guitars. This is also around the time when the name gradually shifted as a result of Americans not caring much more than the British did. So Scot music became ska music. The earliest music we might consider recognizably ska was played in the American South at the beginning of the 20th century. It was here that such later luminaries as Louis Armstrong and Robert Johnson developed their chops. Witnesses at the time described Johnson's early performances as sounding pretty much exactly like the Boss Tones. Unfortunately, when it came time to enter the recording studio, his friends convinced him to ditch his horn section and play his songs at half speed, so we have no recorded examples of this early ska sound. As we know, the first half of the 20th century was largely dominated by 2 world wars and worldwide economic downturns, and ska music was nearly among the casualties. However, record collectors and revivalists in Jamaica resurrected the genre in the late 1950s and brought it into the modern age. Modern ska history is usually divided into several generational movements called waves. The Jamaican revival, as heard in the music of Prince Buster, the Skatalites, and Byron Lee's Dragonaires, is known as the first wave. As this music spread back into the UK in the late 70s, it ignited the second wave, which is often referred to as Wave 2 or two-wave music. Two-wave introduced the melding of traditional ska with harder-edged rock, as exemplified by the Specials, Madness, and the Beat, or the English Beat as it's known in the US. By the end of the 1980s, these influences had also infected American music, which led to what we call third wave ska. The Toasters were pioneers of this style, and were soon followed by Fishbone, Operation Ivy, Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake, Nirvana, Guns N' Roses, and many others. This wave reached its commercial peak in the mid-1990s, which allowed bands such as No Doubt and Sublime to cross over into mainstream success. The fourth wave of ska, actually, was centered around Sioux City, Iowa in October of 2003. However, it didn't spread anywhere and produced no bands of note. So that's the history of ska so far. If you wish to learn more about ska and where the music stands today, you should probably buy the Ska Redemption's debut EP, To Victory. You can also like the Ska Redemption on Facebook, and the links for both of those will be included below. I hope you found this video educational, and please share it with your friends who may not be familiar with this important music. Thank you.